Are you ready for a new adventure? Time to travel back in time, let's go! Are you ready for a new adventure? Let's learn about the past with Anna and Leo.
Hi friends! Welcome to Unlock This, a podcast from Honest History, where we join our friends Anna, Leo, and Percy on adventures through time and uncover some really cool stories along the way. My name is William. I'm 6 years old, and I love learning about history, especially new stories that I don't hear about in school. I can't wait for today's story, and I think you're gonna love it too. So let's dive in.
Anna, look who's joining us today.
Maya, you made it!
I'm so excited! I haven't stopped thinking about the museum vault since our last adventure.
Well, as our guest, you get to pick where we travel to today. Do you have any ideas?
I do have one idea. There's a doctor that I would love to learn about, and I think you both will enjoy her story.
Oh, hello, Percy. Maya was just telling us about a famous doctor. What was her name, Maya?
Her name was Dr. Susan La Flesche Picotte. She was the first indigenous woman to become a medical doctor.
Oh, it looks like Percy wants to show us something in the vault. What is it, Percy?
He wants us to open that drawer. I think that's where all the old photographs are stored.
I'll open the drawer.
What do you see, Maya?
You're right, Anna. This drawer is filled with photographs.
Percy wants us to look at this one,
It's a picture of a big building.
with a lot of windows. What do you think the building was used for?
There's some words scribbled at the bottom, but it's really hard to read. I think it says Peacock, but then I see HOSP. But I can't read the rest.
Well, hopefully our next adventure will help us figure it out. Do you feel that? I think we're about to travel!
Already?
We're here!
That was so fast. I still want to understand how it works, but there's never enough time.
Is anyone else cold? It's freezing out here.
Whoa, look at all the snow. It must be winter time. Do you see anywhere we could go get warm?
I see a house over there, and I think there's a person in the window. Do you see that too, Maya?
I do. And that isn't just any person. That's Dr. Susan La Flesche. We must be near her home on the Omaha Reservation.
Maya, what is a reservation?
A reservation is a land that is reserved for a tribe under agreement with the government. There are about 326 in the United States. And the Omaha's Nations Reservation is located in the state of Nebraska.
So we're on the Omaha Reservation in Nebraska. Do you know what time period we've traveled to?
Well, I know that Susan was born in 1865, so I think we've traveled to the late 1800s.
Percy said that the 1800s were a very difficult time for indigenous people in the United States.
Yes, the 1800s were very hard. By the time Susan was born, many white people had moved onto native land. Many indigenous people were forced to move away from their homes and the land they had lived on for generations. Susan's father, Joseph, saw this change and knew the Omaha way of life was in danger. Already he noticed there were fewer and fewer buffalo to hunt. Joseph told his people that they had to adapt or they wouldn't survive. Joseph started building wooden houses instead of teepees. He gave many of his children European names instead of Omaha names, and he taught his daughters how to farm land and sent them to agency schools where they could learn English.
What was an agency school? Was it different from schools today?
Yes, these agency schools were run by the government. At these schools, Native children had to leave their families and live at the school for the whole year. Susan and her classmates weren't allowed to speak their native language or dress in their traditional clothes.
Wow, that would have been very difficult. Why would Joseph want his children to go to these schools?
The world was changing, and Joseph was afraid for his children. He told them that education was the key to their survival. Susan and her siblings took their father's words to heart. They studied everything they could. Susan learned English and French. She read Shakespeare and learned to paint and play the piano. But she also never forgot her Omaha culture.
What is it, Percy?
He's pointing to that building over there. There's a light on there in the window.
I think that's Susan's doctor's office.
I don't know about you two, but I would like to get out of the cold.
Me too. Do you think we'll be able to get inside of her office and have a look around?
It's worth a try. Let's go.
Yes, it's unlocked.
So, this is her office. It's quite cozy in here.
Wait, do you hear that? I think there's someone outside.
Quick, let's hide behind the counter over there.
It's okay, it's Susan. She's gathering up some medicine and supplies. She must be getting ready to go see a patient.
Oh, she's back outside. I say we stay in here for a bit to warm up.
Percy agrees.
Good idea. I'm sure Susan wouldn't want us getting sick.
Maya, how did Susan decide to become a doctor?
When she was 8 years old, something happened that she would never forget. Susan was caring for an elderly woman in her village who was very sick. She stayed with the woman late into the night, but the woman was getting weaker and weaker. They needed a doctor and sent a message to the white agency. He said he'd be there, but he didn't come.
Oh no, what happened?
They sent another message, he still didn't come. Then they sent a third and fourth message. By this time, the sun was starting to rise in the sky and the doctor never arrived. Suddenly, Susan realized the Omaha community needed more doctors. And they needed doctors that cared as much as she did.
They needed Dr. Susan La Flesche.
Exactly. As Susan grew up, she never forgot that elderly woman and that doctor that never came. When she was 19, she left her home to go to school in Virginia called Hampton Institute. She graduated second in her class. And by the time she finished school, she knew exactly what she wanted to do.
And what was that?
Apply to medical school. Susan knew it was going to be a difficult path. No other indigenous woman had ever become a medical doctor. She would be the first. But Susan wanted to do this for her people and to show others that they could become doctors too.
We're only beginning, so do not try to put us down, but help us climb higher. Give us a chance.
Did Susan find it hard, going to medical school?
Medical school was challenging and quite stressful. Susan and her classmates were constantly studying and learning, and there weren't many female doctors at that time. At first, the boys would tease Susan and her classmates. They would joke that the girls would faint as soon as they saw blood. But Susan and the other women weren't afraid of a little blood.
I wasn't even thinking of fainting.
Susan and her classmates studied chemistry, physiology, and anatomy. They also dissected bodies to learn more about the different muscles, organs, veins, and nerves in the human body.
I like my studies very much, and I don't mind the dissecting room at all. Everything has a name, all the way down to the tiny holes in the bones. It is splendid.
While she was in medical school, she would get letters from home. Many of these letters were friends and family asking her for medical advice. She would always tell them to keep writing her so she could help.
Always send me as many cases as you can.
I think I've warmed up enough now. Should we go see if we can find Susan?
Yeah, let's go!
Look! I see Susan walking over there. Where do you think she's going?
She just went into the barn. Let's follow her.
There's a horse with a little carriage inside the barn. And there's Susan. She just put her bag in the carriage.
That carriage is called a buggy. Susan would take it to see her patients. Did you know, before she got the buggy, Susan used to walk miles on foot?
Even in weather like this, it's freezing.
Oh, yes. When she finally got the buggy, it made traveling much faster and easier. She's probably getting ready to visit a patient now.
I see some space in the back of that buggy. Do you think we'd be able to fit?
It'll be a tight squeeze, but let's try.
Oh, and on your elbow.
Oh, sorry, Leo. Is that better?
Oh, yes, thank you.
Hold tight, everyone. It's going to be a bumpy ride.
Do you feel that wind? It's freezing. I wish we had a blanket.
Oh, I just remembered. I did pack a few things in my backpack that might help. Here, some gloves and a hat.
Oh, thank you, Leo. Percy, climb into one of my gloves. You'll stay nice and toasty in there.
It's hard to imagine Susan used to walk in this cold weather for hours. I don't know how she did it.
I guess she knew that she was the only person who could help her patients. She wanted to be there for them no matter what.
The buggy just stopped, and Susan's getting off. Should we follow her?
Ooh, she's going into that small home.
Maybe we can see what's going on inside through this window.
I can see Susan, and there's a family, too. I think she's giving them medicine.
During the winter, many people were getting very sick with the flu. There was also a disease called tuberculosis. Doctors didn't have a cure for it yet, so it was very difficult to treat. Susan always tried to let fresh air into the homes to get rid of any flies. She thought the flies might be spreading more disease. Oof, they're in my face. If Susan had the time, she would spend hours with her patients, but most days her schedule was very busy.
It looks like Susan is already getting ready to leave.
Susan was the only doctor for over 1,000 people. And sometimes these patients were too sick to travel to her office, so she would have to travel to them.
We're very grateful for you coming to us when we are sick, but we wish you wouldn't go out in the stormy weather. It'll be too much for you.
I have to, for it is my duty.
She's walking back to the buggy.
Let's hop on and see where she goes.
Hi friends, are you enjoying today's episode? I'd like to take a quick break from the story to tell you about another great place to learn about the past. Honest History creates magazines and books for kids that are filled with fun stories and activities that bring history to life. From pirates to spies to great inventions and so much more, you'll learn about interesting people, places, and events from around the world that made history. Created for kids ages 6 through 12, you can sign up and receive new adventures delivered straight to your doorstep every quarter. Just visit honesthistory.co. That's honesthistory.co to sign up today. Oh, and here's a special offer for our podcast listeners. Use code UNLOCKTHIS for 10% off. Again, that special code is UNLOCKTHIS. Okay, let's get back to the story.
Wow, we've been traveling for hours. How many patients has Susan seen today?
I don't know, but it's been a very long day.
We're heading back to her office. But look, there's a bunch of people waiting inside. Are all those people sick?
Some of them may need medicine, but Susan wasn't just their doctor. She helped people in so many other ways. Because she could speak and read English, patients would come to her asking her to translate documents or help them with legal problems.
How did she do it all? She must have been exhausted.
She was, but she felt it was her duty. Helping the Omaha people made her feel more connected to her community. And if she didn't do it, she didn't know who else would.
My office hours are any and all hours of day and night.
And Susan didn't just help the Omaha community. She was also starting to get more white patients, too.
I can't believe Susan did all of this work from that small office.
Susan always dreamed of having a hospital one day. Then she'd have the space, help, and medical tools she needed to serve her patients.
Did she ever get a hospital?
She did. Right before she died, she was able to raise enough money to build the hospital of her dreams. It had big windows with tons of sunlight and enough space to treat all her patients, both native and white.
Maya, that photograph we found in the vault, you said there was writing at the bottom and you could read the letters HOSP. Do you think that word was hospital?
I think you're right. Leo, you're a genius.
Oh, well, thank you, Maya.
So that picture we found in the vault, it's a picture of Susan's hospital.
Whoa, hey look, we're back in the vault.
Home sweet home.
To tell you the truth, I'm a little sad our adventure is over already.
Me too, but you're welcome to join us anytime, Maya.
Yes, you always have great ideas for our adventures. Although I'm kind of happy to be back in this nice, warm room. I don't think I would be able to follow Dr. Susan on another journey in that type of weather. She really was incredible.
That's why I wanted to learn about her today. And I agree. It's good to be out of the cold.
Is anyone up for a warm drink? I think I have some hot chocolate back at home.
Great idea, Leo.
And before you ask, Percy, I'll make some for you too.
Welcome back. That sure was a great adventure. I don't know about you, but I'm gonna tell all my friends about this amazing story. That's all for now. But if you want to learn more, be sure to check out my favorite magazine for kids, Honest History. There's a ton of stuff to learn in each issue, and I love the fun activities and questions. Bye! This episode was narrated by Nikki and JoAnn Schinderle and written by Heidi Coburn. The production was read by Robot Pirate Media. To learn more about Honest History, visit us at honesthistory.co and follow for updates on social media.